Well, thank you for that. And we try to be open about our finances, um, and Joan's done a great job. Next on the schedule is Richard Nugent with the yearly IOTA Awards presentation.
Thank you,
Richard.
Roger. Thank you, Roger. Okay, can my screen be seen for the awards?
I see it.
Okay, let me figure out how to move from slide to slide here. Okay, let's go to. Okay, as in previous years, IOTA confers upon our members the Homer DeBoll Award, the David E. Laird Award, and from time to time, the Lifetime Achievement Award. The Homer DeBoll Award was first, we talked about this in the late 1990s. We thought about giving out awards, but we kind of forgot about it for a few years. And we finally got to it in 2007 when the first DeBoll Award was given to Dave Harold. The Homer DeBoll Award honors, of course, Homer F. DeBoll, who lived from 1920 to 1990. He was an organizer of grazing occultation expeditions in the Midwest USA, beginning in the late 1960s. Homer DeBoll was the person who coined the name International Occultation Timing Association, which we use to this very day. He was a founding officer of IOTA in 1975. He was the secretary and treasurer, and he also was the first editor of the Occultation newsletter, which he did from the years 1974 until the year of his death in 1990. These are the previous Homer DeBoll Award winners, starting in 2007 with Dave Harold, through last year, Tony Barry of Australia. And these are also the people who are on the selection committee for the current year's award, plus myself, the award committee chairperson, and also this year, Dr. Richard Nalthinius. And this year, we had 4 nominations of people for the award. We had discussions through email for a couple of weeks. And we really don't pick a person based upon a majority vote. It's done by consensus. We all get together by email and we just kind of talk back and forth and we decide who really is the recipient of the award. As I said, 4 people were nominated this year, and the winner is, okay, try to change screen here. Bob Anderson from Oregon in the United States. Congratulations, Bob. Now, Bob is not an astronomer per se. Bob is an electrical engineer and also a computer genius. He's also good friends with Tony George. And back in 2007, the way the story goes is that Bob was invited to watch a space shuttle launch. And he invited Tony to go with him to Florida. So they flew from Oregon to Florida, and they observed the space shuttle launch, which have launched successfully. And on the plane ride back, Tony was discussing with Bob the problems he was having in reducing light curves from the Excel programs, which were used at the time, and asked if Bob could help. And Bob took advantage of this and realized that the light curves kind of had a least squares type, a Gaussian type distribution. Thus, he could use the least squares technique to determine DNR times from the videos. And thus came the program Ocular, which Bob introduced at the 2007 IOTA meeting in Washington State, and which Bob perfected the use of subframe timing. Later on, Bob introduced the program ROTE, which emphasized the statistically rigorous computation of occultation timing parameters. And later on, he introduced a 2017 meeting, Peyote, and the multi-platform program to replace Ocular and ROTE. It's a multi-platform program because it works with Windows, Mac, Macintosh systems, and Linux. He then introduced PyMovie some 2 years ago. Bob also developed the program ArtStar to test CCD cameras by introducing an artificial star to simulate occultations. These programs have done amazing work with our light curves compared to iMovie, which just plots the frames just frame by frame. When I notified Bob of the award, he sent me this response. I'm not going to read it. It's going to be on the IOTA Minutes webpage in a few days. But it basically tells you what I told you about him and Tony George getting together. And over the years, Tony George has been a major influence on Bob, giving him suggestions along the way how to improve the programs, which resulted in not only Ocular, but ROTE, PyOT, and PyMovie. So thank you again, Bob, for the tremendous programs that we use, and congratulations on the award. The next award is the David E. Laird Award. And when we started giving out the DeBoll Award, we realized there are people in the occultation community that made their contributions more than 15 years ago. And these people are either not doing it anymore, they've kind of moved on to different things, and we needed to find a way to recognize them. So we created the David E. Laird Award, and it honors David E. Laird, who was a physics teacher in Cincinnati, Ohio. He lived from 1931 to 1968. He died at a very young age. David was an organizer of grazing occultation expeditions in the Midwest United States beginning in the early 60s. He published an article in Sky and Telescope magazine, Have Telescope Will Travel, in October 1966. He confirmed the existence of a giant impact basin on the lunar far side. And as I said earlier, he suffered from leukemia and passed away at the young age of 36. This year's recipient of the David E. Laird Award is, well, here are the previous awardees, starting in 2013 with Hal Povenmire through last year, Daryl Nye. And on this list of people, 3 of these people have passed away already. So we see the importance of the David Laird Award to get these awards out to people when we can. This year's winner of the 2021 David E. Laird Award is Richard Wilds, who lives in New York. Congratulations, Richard. Richard he was a major graze observer and organizer and did extensive work with grazes and occultations in the 1980s and the 1990s in the Kansas City area. He and Craig and Terry McManus, these are former IOTA treasurers up until about 12, 13 years ago. They were the first IOTA folks to develop and put together an image intensifier in the 1990s to reach fainter asteroid events. Richard's also done numerous TV interviews to introduce upcoming occultations in the Kansas City area. So he's like a TV movie star type person. In 2008, he published a labeled version of the marginal zone of the moon from Chester Watkins, original starts of lunar topography. He recently published an article of lunar grazing occultations in the Encyclopedia of Lunar Science in 2018. And in this online encyclopedia, some 50 people were chosen around the world with their expertise to include an article on some aspect of the moon. Richard Wilds was chosen for lunar grazing occultations. Richard also has published numerous articles in Sky and Telescope magazine and Astronomy magazine, in particular, an article in Sky and Telescope, Mapping Asteroid Shapes by Video, Observing Solar Eclipses from the Edge, and other articles on bright and dark nebula, another area of his expertise. He recently published an article in Astronomy magazine. He described the RunCam camera that a lot of us use and how to use them for video. It's the IOTA RunCam 90 Equal Astro Edition. In 2017, on other areas of his astronomy career, Richard was honored with the 2017 Donald E. Osterbrook Book Prize by the American Astronomical Society Historical Section. He also published the book Bright and Dark Nebula a few years ago, A Guide to Understanding the Clouds of the Milky Way. When I notified Richard of the award, he sent me, okay, trying to move to the next slide. Try this here. Okay, is the next slide visible? Titled From Richard. Okay, this is the.
We can see it.
You can see it. Okay, thank you, John. Richard sent me this a so-called acceptance speech. I'm not going to read it. Again, this will be on the IOTA Minutes page in a few days. And Richard is quite an amazing guy. He's done a lot of stuff for IOTA over the years. So again, congratulations, Richard. Okay, next award is the Lifetime Achievement Award, and it's not given out every year. It's given out and conferred by the IOTA board to those people with a lifetime of outstanding vision, dedication, commitment, and significant contributions to occultation science and to the work of IOTA. The previous awardees include 2013 David Dunham of USA, 2015 Hans Bode of Europe, who passed away a few years ago, 2 years ago Paul Maley, and last year Walt Robinson. And for the year 2021, the recipient is Roger Venable, IOTA's vice president. Congratulations, Roger. I see your big smile, Roger. Roger has got an amazing career with IOTA. He's observed asteroid occultations for some 33 years, including hundreds and hundreds of multi-station deployments. He's obtained good data on 306 different asteroid occultation events. That's as of today. Now I know this week it'll change. Of these 306 events, 572 stations he set up obtained good data, either positive or negative, for the occultation. Of these 572 stations back in the early days, 31 were visual and 541 by video. In addition to his 572 good data stations, he set up 199 stations that failed to record good data. As we all know, we set up stations, we think we have it right, and something happens. The batteries fail, maybe some animal kicks the telescope or something like that. All kinds of things happen. A cloud moves by. Thus, to this date, and that's as of this week, and we know this is going to change, the total asteroid occultation observing stations Roger has set up is 771. That is amazing, Roger. And Roger says that the most important events he thinks are the positives he's obtained on the asteroids Arakoth, Phaethon, and Apophis, and the 4-hit event he had on Cleopatra and Antiope. And on that 4-hit event on Cleopatra, Roger was the only one that got data. Now, Roger lives in Southeast United States, and he says that most of his observations have been hampered by the cloudy and hazy skies of the southeastern US. And I know this for a fact because I lived in Florida for 10 years. Okay, moving to the next slide. Okay. Roger's also the vice president of IOTA since 2013. He's the author of Chapter 10 of the IOTA Manual, Unattended Video Stations, Refining the Drift-Through Technique. He's also pioneered the use and improving occultations by using larger telescopes. Roger makes many long trips for the near asteroid events during the last 2 years, helping nail down the first orbit of Phaethon. He did the same long trip for the smaller and more threatening asteroid Apophis, verifying its orbit by recording occultations on March 22nd and April 4th for multiple stations. This added to the orbital precision that shows that Apophis will miss the Earth during its several close approaches for at least the next 100 years. Roger also drove, many of you don't know this, he drove 2,647 miles, that's 4,240 kilometers, for the May 2012 annual eclipse from Georgia to California. And I saw Roger at that eclipse when I was driving home. Roger is also very active in the Association of Lunar and Planetary Observers, and for the long time, he is the Mars section coordinator. In his personal life, Roger is a retired medical doctor, having practiced family medicine and emergency medicine for some 43 years. Okay, on to the next slide. Okay, this is the trajectory of the asteroid 99942 Apophis as it zooms safely past the Earth on April 13th in the year 2029. Now, Apophis was discovered in 2004, and at that time, based on preliminary positions obtained, it was the most hazardous asteroid that could possibly impact the Earth. Now, the results from new radar observations and occultation campaigns recently this year and in previous years, in March and April, this has helped us determine and conclude that there are no risk of Apophis impacting our planet for at least the next 100 years. Now, Apophis is not a large asteroid. Its estimated size is just a few hundred kilometers. It's less than 1 kilometer in size. And it's not circular or spherical, it's elongated. Apophis quickly gained notoriety as an asteroid that could pose a serious threat to the Earth when astronomers predicted that it would come uncomfortably close to us in 2029. Thanks to additional observations by radar and occultation campaigns, the impact risk in 2029 was ruled out, as was the potential impact risk posed by another close approach that Apophis would make on the Earth in 2036. That was until March and April of this year. Now, March 5th, Apophis made a close flyby of the Earth. And March 7th, there was an occultation in Louisiana in which Roger made observations and was used to help refine the orbit. And also Roger made successful observations on March 22nd and April 4th. He was one of the few people to get positive chords, and these positive chords help refine the orbit of Apophis. In other words, give us an accurate position that determined that any impact risk of Apophis in the next 100 years, including the year 2068, has been ruled out. Now, most people believe that when we do an asteroid occultation, we're simply getting the size and shape of the asteroid. And this is true, but we're also getting a very accurate position. The accuracy of the position is good as the position of accuracy of the star being occulted. So for the Gaia catalog, which has positions accurate to several microarc seconds, that's 10 times better than milliarc seconds, we get the position of the asteroid to several microarc seconds. And this position information is computed by Dave Harold. He sent it to the Minor Planet Center, and if necessary, Steve Preston gets hold of it, especially if we need a updated position for an occultation occurring, say, a couple of days later or a couple of weeks later. So it's very important that we get these positions. Again, congratulations, Roger, on this. Next slide. Okay. All right, here's the occultations in March and April of this year. Roger participated in all three of these occultation events, and he obtained good data on the March 22nd event and the April 24th event, the April 4th event. And as I said earlier, Roger's critical observations, positive observations, helped nail down the position of this object to refine the position of the orbit and update the orbit prediction so that Apophis was no longer considered a threat for like the next 100 years. Thank you very much, Roger, for saving the planet. Okay. Okay, these are the awards, plaques, and they are very nice. And I'm one of the few people that sees them before I mail them out. So to Bob Anderson, Richard Wiles, and Roger Venable, congratulations on your awards. And they are out in the mail. And this concludes the talk on the, thank you, Joan, on the awards presentation for 2021. Thank you very much also to the selection committee that we went back and forth for several weeks trying to determine who would be the recipient of this year's awards. Thank you very much. And I turn it back to Roger.
Well, thank you, Richard, for your very gracious description of the awards and the recipients, and I deeply appreciate it. I, for one, feel greatly honored by the award.